Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Liz Bridgewater, the Director of Outreach at Climate Action Now, and one of many people who work to bring this event to you today. It will be just a few moments while people continue to gather. As we're waiting for everyone to join, I invite you to answer the icebreaker question that you'll see pop up on your screen in just a moment. Alrighty, you should be seeing that icebreaker now. Our question today is, how do you feel about the current state of the climate movement? Poll answers are completely anonymous. Please feel free to take your time while responding and think carefully about your response. This question is foundational to our conversation today, and we're genuinely curious to learn what you really think about this question. If you're feeling up for it, please also share your video so we can all see each other today. We will be recording this event, and it will be available publicly online. We'll be sure to send out the recording to you after this event. I'm very grateful that everyone is here today because even though the news has been upsetting for multiple reasons lately, there is still hopeful information about the climate. People just don't hear enough about it. So thank you for joining us today to get your November monthly dose of climate hope. I'll now turn things over to Kaylee Beam, Director of Content at Climate Action Now. Over to you, Kaylee.
Hello, everyone. Like Liz said, I'm Kaylee Beam, Director of Content at Climate Action Now. I noticed that our poll got ended a little early, so I'm actually going to relaunch it. So just go ahead and get those answers back in. So it's going to clear the existing poll results and you just have to put in your answers again. Sorry about that. Always a little bit of tech troubles when it comes to Zoom. So get those answers in. And we're going to flip the script today and introduce our speakers first. So interviewing today's featured speaker is the one and only Sam Matey-Coste, Editor-in-Chief at Climate Action Now. Sam authors the Dose of Climate Hope Substack newsletter, in which he showcases new technologies, policy solutions, people, and trends that give us reason to be hopeful about the climate. His guest today is someone many of you are already familiar with, Brett Walter, founder and CEO of Climate Action Now. When President Trump pulled the US out of the Paris Agreement in 2017, Brett refused to sit on the sidelines. A lifelong entrepreneur, he founded Climate Action Now and created the CAN app to make it easy for anyone to take meaningful climate action in just seconds. Since then, the Climate Action Now community has taken nearly 4 million climate actions together. So before we kick off the conversation, I want to share those results, and it looks like they did get cut off early again. So sorry, but I'm going to share them and you should be seeing them on your screen shortly. So as you can see, we definitely have a range of responses, which I think is to be expected. Probably anyone involved in the climate movement has felt one of these ways at least once since the inauguration in January. But the most popular response is worried but determined. The challenges are huge, but I'm not giving up. And I think that's just a testament to the resilience and fight of the climate movement. And also so many of you picked the responses with optimistic language. I'm not giving up. I'm cautiously hopeful, seeing signs of progress, or I'm energized and ready. So regardless of what you answered today, we're here to talk about why not all hope is lost and hopefully leave you more energized, hopeful, and inspired than when you got here. So let's get to it. Over to you, Sam.
Hello. So thanks to you all for being here today. And I'm excited about this one. All the monthly doses were great, and this one is particularly special because it's an opportunity to sort of publicly showcase my working relationship with Brett Walter and my other colleagues at Climate Action Now. I've been working with these folks for about a year and a half now, since roughly sort of May, June 2024, back in the long ago days of the Biden-Harris administration. And it has been by far the best job of my life. These a lot for years, I've been increasingly sort of discouraged by a lot of the climate movement, sort of the legacy organizations, places like the Sierra Club, National Resources Defense Council, being good people who are in it for the right reasons, but not really being up to the task of sort of the fast shifting landscape of the modern of the modern situation we're in, where we need to suddenly switch the focus in the environmental movement from stop blocking stuff to building stuff, where we need to scale up the amount of stuff we have available for people to do, to sort of the internet era communication where people are able to do huge amounts of stuff from their phone, to turn on a dime, to react, to be more flexible, fluid, and reactive to the challenges of today. And Brett at Climate Action Now, and the other people on this team, the people on this call now, Liz, Akanksha, Cooper, Deb, Robert, all the people, all really close to the only people I've seen who are really finding brand new ways to do that at scale. So the Climate Action Now app is, we describe it sometimes as like it's Amazon for climate action when everyone else is using mail order catalogs. Like it's a way to scale up the um scale up the power of a citizen using a stack of existing and custom created softwares in a way that really no one else is doing yet. And I am really incredibly privileged every day to be working to create actions that people can take, can with a couple clicks send to their state, federal, or local elected officials, and try to rapidly disseminate new information about new technologies, new policy proposals, new bills, new ideas to durably build a better future. So, Brett, I'd love you to just share your story of your vision of where the climate movement is right now and the amazing potential we have moving forward with climate action now.
Sure, great. Well, happy to do that. But before I do that, when I was a little boy, I was very, very shy, and my parents would have people over for dinner parties, and my mother always wanted to bring me out into the, into this party and introduce me, and I was terrified and humiliated. So I'm going to do the same thing to my team right now. I'm just going to pass it forward. Liz, if you could, spotlight the amazing members of the Climate Action Now team. And by the way, that also includes all of you on the call. So I apologize for just singling out a few of you. But yeah, this is kind of the core team, that I meet with very quickly. You've already met Sam. And man, that daily dose of climate hope is that something that thing has been going like this. Sam took it from 0 subscribers to over 20,000 subscribers in about 11 months. That's phenomenal. If you're not getting, you should definitely subscribe. Liz will put you a link to that. I'm just going to go around like Hollywood style, no particular order. Deb Lloyd, oh my God, what a wonderful volunteer. She's our volunteer action coordinator. I'm going to make a strong pitch to all of you to become action creators for Climate Action Now. And this is the woman who is going to welcome you with open arms into our community. And then she's fantastic. She's been with us for years. And then she'll pass the baton over to Kaylee here, who you've already met, our director of content. Her job is to feed the beast, as I say, creating hundreds, thousands with the team, volunteer team, of well-written, well-researched messages that people can send to their political and business and media leaders, to advocate for climate action. They've done a fantastic job. Konksha, Konksha has an amazing story. She is our director of social media, but she just showed up one day, and I don't know, somebody gave her access to our social media accounts, and then she started, doing posts, and eventually it took me like 2 months, and I started looking at these posts, and oh my gosh, who is this person? She's doing such a great job. And so finally I said, oh my God, I got to meet this Akanksha. And so she joined, she totally began as a volunteer, and now she's a part-time contractor, but she spends most of her time working on it. She's fantastic. Another story like that, Robert Doyle, so director of digital, I don't know, what do we call you, Robert? Director of digital content or something?
Digital strategy.
Digital strategy, yeah. Show of hands, has anybody used the petition engine on the Climate Action Now website? This is the guy. He did that. That is a phenomenal piece of code. I put it up against any other petition engine in the world. And this guy did that. He's a brilliant webmaster and IT guy. Let's see. Okay, Cooper Walter, he has the same last name as me. Just a coincidence. Nah, I'm lying. Whoop. Cooper is our chief engineer and my son. And but thank God he's a brilliant engineer, because you don't want to have your kids working for you if they do a lousy job. That's terrible. But that's not a problem for me. Cooper is he was with the core term team that developed the original CAN app, and now for the last couple of years, he's the guy, part-time, keeping that whole thing going and working for another company to bring in contract revenue, for us. And then he's also his latest thing I'm going to show you later in the hour, which is the CAN Action Carousel, which is just really phenomenal. You've all met Liz, our director of outreach, and my key partner, and you send a support case, that's Liz is answering it. Sometimes I do that. And also Dr. Marianne Krasny, who is the Climate Action Now's director of food policy, but she's also a professor at Cornell, and she runs their civic ecology lab. And she's been a really instrumental volunteer. So as you see, a couple of paid staffers, a couple of part-time peoples, a lot of volunteers. People think we're a really big, well-resourced finance team because of our outsized impact. It's not the case. It's this group of people that are making it all happen. So thank you, everybody. You can go back to your jobs, or you can hang in, whatever you want to do. But let's go on. So now you can unspotlight folks and just leave it, with me and Sam, Liz. Okay. I ask Sam to kind of throw me a softball as the first question, which is to kind of set up the conversation today. Okay, this is the monthly dose of hope. We're winning, but we're not winning nearly fast enough. Bill McKibben famously wrote an essay by that title, Winning Slowly is the Same as Losing, and he published it in Rolling Stone back in August 2017. Liz, if you found the link for that, if you could put that in the chat for folks.
And we're winning a lot faster than we were in 2017.
We are winning a lot faster. When I got started, in this 6 years ago, the forecast we were heading to 3 to 4% warming, and now we're at 2 to 3. That's still way too much, but that's winning, right?
Yeah.
But it's not happening fast enough. We are approaching dangerous tipping points, as I'm sure most of you know. We have to accelerate. We need speed and we need scale, right? Speed and scale. And we climate activists are part of that. Now, in order to win faster, the climate movement needs to get 3 things right. And I'll tell you another story. Early in my career, I worked for a guy at a tech company in Silicon Valley, and he always began everything. There's 3 things you got to know. And it was never 3. It was 2 or 4 or 5. It was never 3. I thought it was hilarious. I have 3 things you got to know, and I really do have 3 things. The first is we need to get a very clear understanding about what is holding back our progress as activists. And spoiler alert, it's not primarily the fossil fuel industry.
Although they do suck.
Although they're a big part of the problem, but there's a deeper problem than that, I'm going to argue. Second, we need a strategy that is grounded in that clear understanding of what we're up against. Oftentimes in history, the fate of nations and movements depends on a single clear insight, and sometimes that insight is not obvious. For example, what I've read in history is that General Washington won the Revolutionary War because he understood very clearly that eventually the British would give up. It would just be too much, too expensive. There'd be too much public opposition. He had that insight. So his strategy, so you have insight, then you have strategy. One follows the other. The strategy was to stay alive, to not give the British Army the opportunity to destroy the American Army, retreat when he needed to retreat. I'm wondering if the chat's going to light up with people disagreeing with my analysis. That'll be fun. I'll read it later. The third thing that I want to share is we need to mobilize the full power of the climate movement. And I got another spoiler alert for you. We're not coming anywhere close to doing that today. I argue, and I think I will prove to you, that there is a huge untapped army of people out there who are ready to act, but they don't have the leadership, the strategy, or the tools to do it. Okay. Thank you for that, Sam. Have at it.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I just want to circle back just for a sec to point out, like, you saw most of my colleagues on this sort of like 9 member sort of 3 by 3 Zoom screen olio. Like we are, I think it's fair to say, wildly getting a ridiculously high sort of bang for our buck in terms of how much money we have and how many people we have compared to how much influence we're having. We have organizations saying that we have some organizations telling us that our newsletter has managed to launch them and their legislative ideas into national dialogue. We have a track record of being, in many cases, the only civil society organization of any kind to be able to spin up a policy action on some new study or policy proposal that is happened on a really short timeline and hasn't gotten sort of mainstream media coverage yet. We are doing, if I to toot our own horn a little bit, we are doing extraordinary things on a shoestring budget. So I just want to highlight that again. And also, Brett was too modest to say it, but our CEO, Brett Walter, is not getting paid. He is a full-time volunteer CEO who is trying to save the world as a retirement project and working like incredibly intense startup CEO level weeks, working on this all the time for no money, just because he's an awesome guy and he wants to do that. So I just want to put that out there. I'm getting paid. I can't afford to do that. He's generous enough to give me a job, but he's not paying himself. So he's pretty awesome.
Okay, well, thank you. Enough on
Yeah.
that stuff. Okay, let's
Okay.
get
But
pretty.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So basically, climate action now. Could you tell me, Brett, your theory? You had a really excellent metaphor that sort of described the climate movement as a tree, and I thought that that was a really great, very appropriate metaphor. Could you just run us through that again? Because there are clearly a huge range of people who are super excited about climate action in America, but a lot of that energy is kind of getting dissipated and squandered lately.
Yeah, okay. Well, metaphors are useful, right?
Yeah.
So I like to talk about what I call the tree of climate advocacy. And this is really the tree of any kind of advocacy. You might think of animal welfare, women's rights, whatever, right? So I'd like you to close your eyes if you're a visual person or if it doesn't matter, and just visualize the biggest, most beautiful oak tree you've ever seen. Okay, can you hold that image in your mind? And let's dive in. The roots of that tree, I would say, probably are the big donors who help fund the climate movements, like the Bloombergs, of the world. The trunk of the tree, I would say, are the large nonprofits, Sierra Club, NRDC. These would be, nonprofits that have an annual operating budget of, over $100 million. Okay. Then there are branches off of that trunk, and those are 10 to $100 million operating budget. That would be like Climate Reality Project, probably Citizens Climate Lobby may be in there. And then there are limbs, and there's limbs, there's branches, and there's twigs. Twigs would be very, very small nonprofits, with budgets of maybe certainly less than $1 million. But here's the interesting thing. Then there's the leaves of this tree. The leaves are not, I'm not really thinking they're the individuals of the kind of movement. They are groups of concerned citizens. And they're not just like people who are in
They're
chat.
you.
Well, there's what?
They're you. They're the people on this call, the people
They're
who
the
signed up.
people on this call, but they're really people on this call who are in groups. What this is how the movement, this is how things work. This is how things change, right? Change starts when someone reads something or sees something or hears something and they say to themselves, that's not right. I have to do something. That's the beginning of all advocacy when somebody says that to themselves. Now, most people, when they reach that point, don't want to do it alone. So they reach out for other like-minded people and they form groups. And a lot of people will join a chapter of a major climate organization, but it's not only them. I mean, we work with there's a wonderful group of people in the Greenfield Presbyterian Church in Michigan. 5 to 10 people there who found the app early on and they formed a little group and they challenged themselves to take lots of actions. College environmental groups, chapters, there's, League of Women Voters, Rotary clubs, there are so many different groups of people who are concerned about climate. that's what I mean by the leaves. Those are the leaves, okay? The leaves are the part of the tree that touches the sky, that blows in the wind, that takes the energy from the sun and converts it into food for the tree. The wood of the tree all comes from the leaves, but also from the root system. Anyway, so I really, the reason I use this metaphor has some uses. The first one is um, makes everybody feel important, which is good. But to my mind, what it really does is I'm focused on the leaves of that tree. That is where the energy in the climate movement is. And that's what needs to be mobilized to win this battle. And what I'm gonna show you in a few minutes is a tool that we can use to empower the leaves of the tree. Okay, Sam, what else?
Exactly. Yeah, this is why I wanted to bring this up before the tool, because basically the leaves are what keep a plant alive, right? Leaves are how a plant eats. That's where the chloroplasts are. That's where the photosynthesis is happening. That's where it's generating the sugars that'll eventually use to build complex chemicals like lignin and build the whole physical structure that is a tree. Leaves are how a tree walks, or the engine, the motor of a tree. But right now, I think we've got a lot of leaves, and maybe to extend the metaphor more in a naughty way, maybe not enough xylem and phloem, maybe not enough of those connective tissues that actually bring the complex sugars created by the leaf photosynthesis down to the rest of the tree and bring water and nutrients up to nourish the leaves so they can keep photosynthesizing. And yeah, lots of communities doing the right thing, but we're trying to scale the metaphor a bit more, integrate the tree a bit more, because a lot of existing sort of climate action email service providers, the climate action groups basically haven't changed their software stack since 2010. Like I got into climate action as like a precocious kid reading Sierra magazine when I was 8 years old. I'm 7 year old campaigning for Barack Obama, like a bunch of stuff. And a lot of the stuff, the emails, the fundraising, the activist campaigns, a lot of them haven't really changed since then. And what we're kind of building here is something that is really a big leap forward in sort of scalability, effectiveness, customizability, and just power. So so you probably all, if you're on a call talking about climate change at this time, will all subscribe to a bunch of different environment related mailing lists, or you have been at some time in the past, and you get some kind of email saying there's these days some terrible Trump effort to tear down some environmental protection, sign a petition against it, contact your legislators against it, something. You maybe get like 1 to 5 of those a week, maybe 3 from each organization. And and often you even have to type in your little like address, your name and address and stuff in a field in the petition engine to contact your um legislator about the issue, which is superior to having to handwrite a letter to your legislator independently about the issue. It's a steps towards sort of scaling up the voice of the people, but it's not really gotten very far. And the tool that Brett and Cooper have been building for years, and that I've gotten to come in and write a bunch of actions for lately, is a big step beyond that. And for a bunch of reasons that we'll be getting into, it hasn't really been accepted by many pre-existing incumbent climate groups yet, in part due to simple reasons like they've already paid for a multi-year subscription to their existing petition provider. But it's really kind of taking off underground, so to speak, or under the bark of the tree, like a wildfire, to empower those leaves, those small groups of people. So,
Okay.
Brett, you tell me about the CAN
Yeah.
action.
Well, let me just kind of reframe what you just said a little bit. When I started Climate Action Now, the founding hypothesis was that if we made it really easy for people to take climate action, easy and rewarding, more people would do so. And that proved to be spectacularly true. Al Gore's Climate Rally Project did a pilot in the months after we launched, in which they documented, not me, they documented the Climate Rally leaders with the app recorded 29 times more actions than people using what I have come to call conventional advocacy tools. And that's what Sam was talking about. What is conventional advocacy? Conventional advocacy, you're worried about climate, you join a climate group, you get on their mailing list, they send you 3, 4 emails a week. 3 of them are donation appeals. 1 of them is a call to action. with a link to a form where you sign a petition or you contact your legislator. And then you're done. Well, then you get another donation and then you're done, right? That's conventional advocacy. People who get the app take 10 times, they take 10 actions a day. They take an order of magnitude more actions than people using these conventional advocacy tools. The nonprofits are all invested in the conventional tools, which are not optimized for activism. They're not. I mean, we've documented that. So it is really, really important that this is why in the Eventbrite introduction to this event, we said, I beg to differ. I think there is a huge untapped army of people out there. We've proven that there are people out there that, like all of you guys, you're concerned, you want to do something, and you're only being asked to do one call to action a week. This is a mind-blowing thing here. You go to virtually any advocacy website, not only climate, and many of them will have an act or action tab on their websites. You click on that. On average, you will find probably no more than half a dozen actions that they are asking people to take at any given time. But guess what? That doesn't change. It's not another 6 the next day or another 6 the next day. Over the course of a year, they may have 30 things they're asking you to do. Do we really believe that that's all we need to do in order to turn this problem around? No, that's insane. And do we really believe that we are taking full advantage of the energy and the commitment that is out there in the world to solve this problem by doing that, by asking people to do one thing a week? No, it's crazy, and that is what is really remarkable about the CAN platform. I'm tooting my own horn here, but it works. I mean, other people have demonstrated this. Okay, so it's already halfway into the hour. There's so much we could talk about, guys, but I got to show you the what is coming next, from Climate Action Now. So, and I'll start with a story. About a week before Easter, this last Easter, and Easter, by the way, you may remember, was 2 days after Easter was Earth Day. About a week before Easter, I was invited into an emergency meeting with a bunch of climate leaders. Word had gone out. I don't know how many people know this. Word had gone out that President Trump was preparing a series of executive orders, one of which was to declare environmental groups to be terrorist organizations.
Which did not end up happening, but it seemed really probable that it would happen for
My story, Sam.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is my story, pal.
Okay.
Yeah, and people, that's absurd, right? But people took it very seriously, and you know why? Because that's exactly the sort of thing you would expect Donald Trump to do, right? So there were lots of thousands of people, of leaders of groups were going into hurried meetings trying to decide what to do. I was in one of those clusters of people, and the group that I was involved in said, well, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to create a website and we're going to have actions that people can take to protest this executive order. And I was brought in because they said, can you create the actions for us? And so we thought, well, we can't get people to go get the CAN app. They're just not going to do it. We have to let people take action on that website. I didn't know if we could do it. We only had a week. Now, in retrospect, it was totally impossible. It could not be done. Fortunately, we didn't have to do it because Earth Day came and it was crickets. Nothing happened. I don't know. Nobody knows what really happened. Nobody knows the backstory. My personal guess is that Trump's team realized the optics of calling environmental organizations terrorist organizations on Earth Day, may not be the smart move for them. But it was an aha moment for me because I'm so stupid. I didn't understand this. Taking the power of that CAN app action carousel and putting it on a website where anybody can get it, but not have to have an app, that was the aha moment for me. I realized this overcame a lot of the objections that the environmental groups had, to using the app. So so we started working on it then, and we've been working on it for 6 months, and it's now in beta, and I'm going to show that to you, how that works. And show of hands, how many people have used the CAN app? I can't see, but fortunately, most of the people on the CAN team have used it. That's gratifying. So let me go out to, and this is published on the website, on the CAN website, folks, at Climate Action Now green hyphen beta.
This
Okay,
is the
so
cool thing that these folks have built and that I write content for. This is the thing that this has all been leading up to.
now those of you recognize this, right? Here it is. We recommend you take at least 5 actions. And as I said, the average CAN doer takes 10 actions, in a sitting. See how you score. I mean, it just goes straight through. Let's find a legislative one. Urge your state leaders to establish stronger tax incentives for food donations. Just like the app, there's a why with 2 or 3 paragraphs explaining why this is a good thing to do. There's sources from ReFed, a leading food waste nonprofit. There's a who, so you can see who else is doing it. There probably won't be many people because it's still in beta. And then there is the do it now. And so I click do it now. Now, because I previously entered my address, failed to load targets. That's not supposed to happen. It's beta, so bug. Okay, it just did a little hiccup there, folks. We'll get that fixed. So now, because it knows I'm in Oregon, it's looked up my governor. Tina Kotek, I can make a call. And if I want to, gives me her phone number, I can click here to get a personalized talking script for her, and I can just pick up my phone, make the call. And that's great, but I think most people actually do the emails. There's your subject. I'm a father. It begins just like in the app with my personal statement. I'm a father who fears for my family in a warming world. And I thank her, and well-researched, well-written, timely messages, got my information. I press send button, and now I've earned 100 points, which count towards a real treat. I can rate the action, and then I can, contact my representative, Sarah McDonald. I say yes, send a message, click, yes, boom. Sarah Bluen, my state senator. You know what? Get this. Once I moved to Oregon and I started sending messages to my Oregon legislators, Sarah replied with a personal message to me, and we began a beautiful friendship. So I don't bombard her with messages. The other folks, they don't reply to me personally. So sorry, I'm going to bombard you with messages. So I'm going to skip Sarah and move on, to the next action. Right here is my profile, so I can update my name, my personal statement, my address, and all that kind of information. All right, so guess what? This is in beta. Hopefully within a few weeks, we'll be going, all out, with the full version of this. I want to show you, we have some people who've agreed, to courageous individuals, to be beta testers for this. Here's the CAN action carousel. We call this the CAN action carousel. Here it is on the, I mentioned before, the Greenfield Presbyterian Church in Michigan. They've got it here, and they're taking action, and they're testing it for us. Here's a small national nonprofit. I think many of you probably are members, including me, Elders Climate Action. There it is on the Elders Climate Action website. And by the way, we designed this for organizations like this that do use the conventional advocacy tools, that our actions will integrate seamlessly with those other tools. But that's more effort and more expense. Okay, here is the Western New York chapter of Climate Reality. And we did a special carousel for them featuring Al Gore's other enterprise, the Climate Trace, which tracks methane plumes and other super pollutants around the world. And here is Ossining is a city in New York, and there's a civic group of concerned citizens there. They created a group called Green Ossining. Fantastic group. Here it is on their website. Here it is on, oh, Alabama, Climate Reality Alabama chapter. They're just getting started. Here is a regional, Act Now Bay Area is a regional group, San Francisco Bay Area, working on sustainability. They've got it on their website. And we have other people just waiting and asking for this. Okay, now, guess what? Prepare to have your minds blown. You know how long it took these organizations to put these carousels on their websites? An average of 5 minutes. And for somebody who knows how to do it, and that only took 5 minutes because most of us don't know how to do this sort of thing, and we're under-resourced, and so we kind of bumble our way through the software interfaces. But for a webmaster who knows what they're doing, they can do it in 1 minute. How? They create a page, we give them a little piece of code, HTML, they put it on that page, press a button, and boom, instant action carousel on that website. Okay? 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. That's one thing that will blow your mind. Second thing, it's free. Just like with the app, it's user supported. So people take actions, in the carousel, and once in a while, we're not going to ask them to buy, logo merchandise, right? The world has enough t-shirts. I'm sorry, it does have enough t-shirts and tote bags, but we'll ask them to give trees to a friend, with give the gift of trees, or become a planet-saving subscriber and help install solar panels around the world. So it's all user supported. Okay, so that's why we do it free. We still have a cost, in doing this, which is roughly about $50 to get one of these carousels set up, and I'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, another thing that will blow your mind. Three things. This is the meeting of threes. Imagine a world where we had thousands of websites out there with the Can Action Carousel. Now, we can, most of the climate organizations, they kind of work separately. They do their own thing. But once in a while, there are moments when everybody wants the same thing at the same time. We had a moment like that in July when we were desperately lobbying our senators to preserve the tax credits in the big ugly bill, the tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act that were going to be axed in Trump's big ugly bill. Everybody wanted that at the same time. Imagine we had this action carousel on 1,000 or 10,000 websites. We can put an action in the carousel at the beginning of the carousel saying, ask your senator to preserve the tax credits, and it can go out to everybody at precisely the same time. And then everybody could have blasted DC, their senators, with this request. Constituents, right, telling their senators, don't do this, right, or do this, preserve these credits. There is nothing on the planet that can do that, what I just described, to bring together and focus that much energy in one place at one time. That is possible, with this tool, and that is insane. Oh, okay, but now here's another thing. The reason there's two reasons why this technology is so effective. One is we made it really easy for you to take an action, right? But the next reason is that having completed an action, you get another action, right? Immediately, right after it, and you get rewarded. So boom, 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 boom. The average person does 10 in a sitting. Great. Versus 1 a week using the conventional tools. Okay, but now then they finish, and then they go back to their life, and then maybe they're done. Maybe they never come back. Maybe they never do it again. In the app world, we can do push notifications. Those of you who use the app, if you agreed to get push notifications, and every day you get an action of the day, notification pops up on your phone, and then boom, you're back into the app, and you're taking action. This is essential, folks. People need triggers. They need to be reminded to come back in because we're all super busy, right? So how do we do that with a web carousel? Because there isn't any sort of push notification. Well, there's email, right? So Liz, if you could, so when people take an action in a carousel, well, that's going to put them on an action of the day mailing list. And there'll be a nice unsubscribe button right at the top. So if they don't like it, boom, they click it once and they'll never get bothered, with another action of the day. But Liz, if you could, do you have could you show us what the action of the day email is going to look like?
Yes, it should be showing on the meetings tab of Zoom right now.
Okay, if you're seeing me and Sam on one tab, but there's another tab up there that says meeting. Well, I'm clicking on that. Actually, it's on Liz Bridgewater's screen. Okay. And if you can scroll down a little bit, okay, there it is. There's a picture of the action. Um, and then we have the campaign of the week below that and the today's action. And if you click that, do it now, you can stay up there at the top. Oh, and there, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And below that is the why this action is important. And below that is the sources for this action. Okay, so that's fine. You can stop sharing that now. Now, this is very cool. So somebody goes to the Greenfield Presbyterian Church, a member of the church. They go and they take actions, and then they get an action of the day email, and they click the action. What happens? It brings them back to the Greenfield Presbyterian Church website to that action of the day in the Greenfield Action Carousel. So it brings people back and gets them going again, and it keeps them within the Greenfield community. And ditto Bay Area Climate Action Now, ditto Alabama Climate Reality, and so on.
This is
So
something I have never seen anyone else do. This is sort of like one of the big trends of our age is sort of that constant algorithmic hook of engagement, like it's called doom scrolling or brainwatting or a bunch of things. We're like civic engagement scrolling. Like we're creating like a sort of hopefully hooky, sort of fun, lightly not addictive in a bad way, but more-ish, want to keep doing it model of constantly repeating content. And at each step, you're actually hopefully influencing the democratic process and using your voice to bring about a better world.
that is right. And
Never
this
see anyone else do that.
this so we're going back to the leaves of the tree. Remember, our metaphor, right? This is where the action is, folks. Oh, I've got four things to blow your mind. Okay, about this. Okay, let's say you belong to a Facebook group that is concerned about climate. Oh, well, Brett, we don't have a website, right? No problem. You can still, we, Climate Action Now, will host your carousel on our website. We'll create a page just for your Facebook group with your logo, your name, your introduction, and we'll put it on our website. And then you can send people to your page on our website so they can be taking action. So there is no excuse to not have an action carousel. We will do it for you if you don't have your own website. But if you have your own website, have at it. Okay. So there's just and so when in the show notes and when I said there's this untapped potential, this is what I'm talking about. Conventional advocacy, you're on a mailing list. Oh, and guess what? Those emails you get from the climate orgs, only 15% of them on average get opened. 85% never get seen, right? Less than 1% of the people who get those emails actually take that action, and then they're done. Somebody using a carousel is going to take 10 or more actions. I saw Rick Moody. I don't know, Rick out there, if you can raise your hand. Rick Moody, who, by the way, was there he is. Okay, Rick Moody was a former senior academic advisor for the AARP for a number of years. He's a genius. He's got his own newsletter. Rick, feel free to put a link to your newsletter sign up in the chat. Get this, folks. Rick, for over a year, every day for over a year, Rick has been taking 70 actions a day. And guess what? There are people who've done even more, but I know Rick personally, and I wanted to call out, that's amazing. And the thing about Rick is he doesn't do all the actions. He doesn't read the articles or watch. He's only interested in sending messages, to his elected officials. So he just scrolls through. There you go. And he does that. He's gone to meetings with his elected officials where all he has to do is tell them his name and say, I know you. This really matters, folks. And I'm going to say something else that a lot of you heard me say. Okay. Okay. I just said it really matters. the main question that I get asked by people when they're new to the CAN app is they say, do my messages make a difference? And it's an understandable question, right? Because what's beneath that is a feeling that no, they don't really make a difference. I'm just, I'm just one person, right? Well, it took me years to figure out how to answer that question, but here is the answer. And I'm sorry, you've heard me say it before. If it's making you sick, well, I'm sorry. Public opinion is the only effective counterweight to the immense power of the fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry knows this, which is why it spends hundreds of millions of dollars every year trying to shape public opinion with disinformation. Even dictators like Xi Jinping and Putin know this, which is why they control their state media and don't allow any public dissent, right? Everybody understands the power of public opinion. And okay, so don't tell me your opinion doesn't matter. Well, now you're thinking, well, but I'm just one person. It's just my opinion. And the answer to that is, well, that's true. You can't deny that. But you're not alone. You're one of many. This is a numbers game, folks. This isn't about writing we write the well-crafted messages for you. That's great. But what the senators and the legislators are looking at are tallies of what their constituents are acting about. So it's a numbers game. The more people who are advocating for something, the more likely there is to be action. Flip it around. If nobody advocates for it, nothing is going to happen. So this is the power of the action carousel. If we can get this out on thousands of websites, we can scale up exponentially. Look, a few thousand people using the app have sent almost 4 million, taken almost 4 million messages and planted over 400,000 trees in the process. What if we have 10,000 people using these carousels, or 100,000 or a million? We're going to set records, for emails. We're going to inundate, the web forms, of our legislators. So public opinion is hugely important, and this is the untapped potential of the climate movement that's not being tapped because people don't have the tools, they're not using them. We have the tool, but they don't know about it, and that's our job. We got to get this out there. So Sam, if you're all right, I'd like to take a couple minutes to ask people. I'm sure some people ask, well, what can I do? And obviously using the app is great, but I do have 4 or 5 things that I'd like to highlight, for everybody. So, okay, so first, keep our little team alive, please. As Sam said, I don't take any money. I used a lot of the Walter family fortune to build this thing, but I can't. My wife will kill me if I put another dollar into this. I'm giving it all my time. Tim Guinea, our volunteer president, our whole Marianne's a volunteer. Case Keene, who came on the call late, so I couldn't profile him. He's financial, our chief financial officer. Most of us are volunteers. We have only 2 paid staffers and a few part-time contractors. That's it, right? We need financial support. The best way to keep us alive, it's not hard, is because we are very lean, right? And we can give the climate movement the tools it needs to win, but we need to keep ourselves going. So anything you do is help, but the best way to support us financially is to become a Climate Action Now benefactor. And Liz is going to bring that up on the screen. And so for $99 a month, you could be a benefactor. And if you scroll down, Liz, to the benefits section, and maybe, yeah, zoom in a bit so people can read that. Okay, so some nice things here. You get a sapphire around your profile photo in the app and in the carousel. You're not going to get asked for donations. Okay, hold it there. No more ads in the app. 25% savings on the trees and other things that you can plant from us. We will plant 100 trees on your behalf every month. That $100 will buy, among other things, among these other benefits, will buy 100 trees. And now here's the crazy thing. As I said before, it'll cost about $50 for us to help any leaf of the climate tree any group get the action carousel on your website. There's meetings, we have to create code and support people, train them and so on, right? So about $50. 50 of that $100 is gonna allow us to implement, to activate a can carousel on another website. So every month as a benefactor, we're going to bring up another can carousel on another website, and that's because of you. So in the course of a year, 12 websites will have the action carousel if you can help us. And now here's the other thing. If we have 100 benefactors, we're home free. We're good. Along with our other, resources, we can keep CAN going indefinitely with just 100 benefactors. So that's one thing. And Liz, you can go off of that if you want. The next thing, and this is just as important, is to help us get the word out. Right? I'm sure all of you belong to multiple groups. Maybe you belong to a church, you belong to a Rotary Club or League of Women Voters or a local chapter, of any of the climate. It doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be an official nonprofit. It could just be any group of individuals. Let them know about this action carousel, that they can get it for free. Liz has prepared a Google Doc with boilerplate. You don't even have to think about this, just boilerplate text that you can email to the leader of those groups or text, right? So this is open to everybody. She's putting a link to this Google Doc in the chat. We'll also include it in the email that comes to you probably tomorrow with the recording of this presentation. So any group you belong to, boom, let them know about this. And in that doc, there's a link where if they're going to have questions, they can sign up. I will meet anybody anytime, who wants to learn about this and answer their questions. Now, some of you may have your own groups. So guess what? You can have your own action carousel. You don't have to wait. And Liz, we have a page on our website, and she'll put the link again to this in the chat, where you can go sign up right now. We just need to know your name, organization name, and a little bit of information. We'll then get back to you with the HTML code that you need to get the action carousel on your own website. So you're good to go if you have. And even if you don't, like I said, even if you don't have a website, maybe you have a Facebook group. No problem. We'll host your action carousel on the Climate Action Now website. Okay, deep breath. Volunteers, right? Half of my team are volunteers. And volunteers have been amazing, amazing. Now, one of our needs is for more. Okay, thank you. Some of us know what this is, where this comes from. World War I, maybe, or World War II, I don't know. Anyway, we need more action creators, especially in each state. We want to have an official state action coordinator, an Ohio action coordinator, a Nebraska action coordinator. We'll give you a title, we'll put your pick and a bio on our website, and your job is to help identify actions that can be taken in your state. Who are what good things are happening that we want to support? What bad things are happening that we want to prevent and stop in their tracks, right? People need actions. They need messages. They need to learn about these issues. And so become our official action coordinator in your state. And even if you don't want to do that, fine. Just come and create actions. We have to feed the beast, folks. People will take the actions if we create them. This is one of the most impactful things you can do, because every action you create will be taken hundreds or thousands of times. Where else can you do that? Okay. So if you're interested, send a message to support@Climate Action Now. Liz will get it, and she'll get you introduced to Deb, and Deb will get you trained, and then Kaylee will get you trained. Okay, I don't know if we have any. The other thing is just another way to get it out into the world is, do we have any retired public relations professionals, with us today, or do you know any? Introduce me to them. These folks, they know how to get the word out, right? Get me speaking in engagements, right? Get me interviews, right? Get me on podcasts. And Tim Guinea also, our president, he's brilliant. He's way better than I am, at talking about this stuff. So, but anyway, this really makes a big difference. I tell you, we got 4 minutes. About a year a year and a half ago, yeah, every day I get a report telling me how many people got the app, and usually, 5, 10, 20. Um, One morning I woke up and it said 863. And I looked at that and I said, that's a bug. Gosh darn it. Now I'm going to have to spend half my day fixing a bug, right? Finally, by evening, I got around, I digged in, I looked in it. No, it was real. In one day, we had 860 people. Why? Because a Substacker, Robert Doyle, I'm sure many of you know, he's a fantastic defender of our democracy, just gave us a shout out. You know, 800, 50 people in one day because of a shout out from one influencer. You know what? The other thing that can keep us going, in addition to the benefactors, is if we just get 25 new people every day using an action carousel, we're good to go. That will work. Some of those people will buy trees, and help us out, right? I know from the numbers, 25 new people a day, and we're good to go. We could just keep going and going and going. So getting the word out is really fundamental. So if you are a PR professional, even if you're not a PR professional, tell all the groups that you know about this. Ask them, send them the boilerplate messages, let them get meetings with me and Liz, and we'll get them started. And then finally, okay, we're coming up on the travel season and the holiday season. Liz, we got some great, products, services, really, for you. Liz, if you could show our trees for travel order form. This has been really very popular with lots of people. I know we all know we shouldn't be flying, but people are going to fly. It's just going to happen. So, why not do something to reverse the emissions of your air travel? And on this order form, you can tell us, what class of airplane you're taking, how many round trip miles, number of passengers, double up, triple up. By the way, Christiana Figueres does this, and she recommends it strong, not this our solution, but this idea of planting trees and doing other things to reverse your emissions is strongly recommended by Christiana Figueres. You don't know who Christiana Figueres is. She was the main person credited with the Paris Agreement. And you can give this as a gift. Suppose you're staying home, but your kids are flying out to see you, or vice versa. Anyway, you can give this as a gift. Now, Liz, also we have an actual gift. Give the gift of trees. Look at that image, folks. Give trees, plant hopes. That was Akanksha, who I introduced to you at the beginning there. Isn't she amazing? She is a genius at words and images. Earth Lungs is a nonprofit in Kenya who actually plants the trees that you can purchase through these services. Victor Mwanga, Sam has interviewed Victor Mwanga, the CEO of that. We'll include the link to that interview, later. Okay, so that is lots of ways you can help, but however you can help, whatever you can do, that is fantastic. Guess what? We're winning. We're not winning fast enough. We can win faster. We have to unleash the potential of the climate movement. We've got to get more people like you and me using these carousels. And getting these carousels out in the world is the way to do that. You keep us going, we'll keep you going, right? And not only you, we'll keep hundreds of thousands. This little team here, we could keep 100,000 people taking action every day. I don't need to hire 50 more people. We can do that with this team if you can keep us going. So that's my pitch. You guys are awesome. It's top of the hour. Thank you so much for being here. Liz is going to put together an email that will go to everybody who registered. By the way, I'm sorry we didn't get to questions. Maybe we can do a shirt sleeve session, some other time where it's not talking heads, but we're in there and we're doing things together. We should do that, Liz. But she will send you tomorrow probably an email with a link to the recording. Forward that email to all your friends, right? Let them watch this. It'll have all the resources they need. This is how we win. We amplify our voices. We raise the decibel level. We flood the zone. We let our legislators and business leaders know we care about this. And we're not going to let it, we're going to keep this thing going. So that's how y'all can help. Thank you so much for everybody. You are awesome and incredibly awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today.